The following is an Outdoor Channel original production.
Much of North Dakota falls within DU's highest priority area, the prairie pothole region, making this state a key breeding area and a significant contributor to continental waterfowl populations. With considerable pressures to drain wetlands and convert grasslands to cropland, innovative agricultural practices are needed to save this treasured habitat.
Ducks Unlimited is brought to you by Midway USA.
Arriving in North Dakota, I joined DU member and Bayer Crop Science President Bill Buckner and DU Scott Stevens at his North Dakota Duck Shack. We unite to learn how DU and Bayer Crop Science are working together to benefit both farmers who produce winter cereals and the waterfowl that nest there. Frigid conditions over the last several weeks have sent the majority of the migration further south. With no turning back, we push the pedal down in search of new opportunities.
The Coteau area, right here in the middle of North Dakota, is the epicenter of duck production in North America. When you hear about the prairie potholes, this is where they are.
Tuttle, a small agricultural-based community located in the center of North Dakota, is in the Missouri Coteau, an elevated prairie landscape of glacial origin dotted with numerous wetland depressions. It's some of North America's best of the best remaining nesting habitat. Wetland densities in this area have the potential to attract in excess of 100 breeding pairs of ducks per square mile.
Glaciated wetlands, historically native grasslands, and here in North Dakota we have a lot of those areas, big areas, still intact.
The landscape itself is just very broad and very expansive. My mind really does drift back to the 1800s when there were buffalo roaming these plains.
This is a quintessential duck scene now. A beautiful sunrise, hiding in reeds, ducks flying. Welcome to North Dakota.
Thanks. It's great to be here, I tell you. It is a beautiful morning.
Scott, what did you look at them yesterday afternoon?
Yes. Yeah, mostly gadwall and widgeon sitting in here. A few mallards sprinkled in. We've had some pressure, hunting pressure, so it takes finding a spot like this to have a decent concentration of birds. So hopefully this works out.
You know, one thing about duck hunting is it's a constant game of adjustment. And we set up on day one. We had pretty good cover, but I don't think it was quite good enough to hide us from the ducks like we needed to. It was obvious that we were being seen. The ducks were flaring and they were working. Also, the wind shifted. So, you know, I always encourage hunters, don't hesitate to make an adjustment or make a move if you really think you need to.
Nobody's saying if the ducks are over there and we're over here, what are we doing over here?
It takes less time and effort than most people would consider to just go out there and grab those decoys, go around to another spot.
We thought this was the best prospects.
You know, write those next few minutes off, make your move. A lot of times it'll be one that'll really get you back in the action and save you morning.
You know, the tough part is the birds were just thin. We had a lot more birds even a week ago than we've had this week. So it made it a real challenge to find a decent concentration of birds that, you know, were in a spot where we could get hid, we could get set up.
They're a little wise and they're all trying to land in the middle, and I just, you know, I think we're gonna have to regroup and go to spot number 2 this afternoon and
Yeah, I think so too.
see if
We can make that work.
do a little better there. Why don't we pick them up?
Okay. We sort of developed a plan to get hid better, and I had a spot where I thought we could do that.
A duck hunter has to be flexible enough to be able to move and go to where they think that offers them the best opportunities. And but I think it was worth giving it a shot, and it's hunting. It's what you do.
We had better cover, better situation to get everyone hid, and you make do. Right here.
Oh, wow. Oh, good
Nice shot.
Man, where'd that
Nice
duck
shot.
come from? On the board. I never saw that one till he flared up there when you shot.
Oh, the curse is broken.
With full moon conditions, will evening hunts prove to be the ticket this week?
Ducks Unlimited, brought to you by Midway USA, just about everything for hunting. And by Auto Vent Shade, lets fresh air in, keeps rain out.
After a slow start on our first morning, we moved to another pothole that Scott has been scouting for an afternoon hunt. With Bill Buckner of Bayer Crop Science rounding out the blind, we learned firsthand the importance of winter wheat and how it relates to waterfowl as swans fill the sky.
We saw a lot of swans, and they're just a magnificent bird. And at the end of the day, it's not all about the shooting of ducks. It's about the camaraderie that you develop and the other wildlife that you see. And I think Scott put us in a place to observe a lot of that.
Bill runs in some pretty thin air. He's the president and CEO of a very large international company. And it turns out Bill Buckner is an old country boy that grew up in Missouri, and he's hunted ducks from the time he was just a lad. He'll pitch in. And on the water, he's going to get out there and break that ice up. You know, he's doing his part. He's a real into-it duck hunter.
And Bill's passion for waterfowling also extends into his professional work with Bayer Crop Science, which recently joined forces with DU.
The problem up here in this country is cold tolerance. And it just really takes some good innovation to produce the varieties for this area.
Scott, why the big push to plant in the wintertime instead of the traditional spring planting?
It really provides the only quality nesting cover for an ag crop that we see, because it's planted in the fall and not disturbed in the springtime. And if you compare sort of how many nests we would hatch out of a given field of winter wheat versus spring wheat, it could be 40 times the nest success.
Ducks Unlimited and Bayer Crop Science have entered into a partnership that will allow incentives for farmers to grow winter cereals like winter wheat. These innovative agricultural practices result in minimal field disturbance in the spring of the year, which provides nesting opportunity in agricultural-dominated landscapes. Research in Canada has shown that duck nest success improves by 35 times with fall-planted winter cereals when compared to spring-planted cereals, making this a win-win for both farmers and waterfowl.
Well, probably the best example is the field behind us. It's a canola field that's been harvested and then planted into winter wheat. We expect many things from this endeavor, and one, of course, is the ability to create new varieties of winter wheat that are more adaptable to this environment. Certainly, if we can do that, then it enhances the profitability opportunities for North American growers.
The partnership with Bayer has really been a boost for that program and provides us an opportunity to take landscapes that still have the wetlands intact, still attract lots of breeding ducks, but if we don't have a habitat like winter wheat out there in the springtime, the birds are probably not going to be very successful.
To better understand winter wheat's relationship to duck nesting success, we meet DU agronomist Blake Vandervost, who explains how new varieties of winter wheat being developed for colder tolerances can create profits for growers and waterfowl.
The farmer has to be profitable with that crop for him to maintain it in his rotation. So the work we've done has focused on increasing their yields or reducing their costs, which then leads to more profitability. One of the new priorities that we'll be focusing on will be the development of new varieties that are better adapted to the northern climates, because if you can't make it survive the winter, you don't have a crop to nurse the following year.
When I walk around and I see these winter wheat fields, one, I see the progress that the program is making. And I think then if we see the winter wheat, then I think a farmer actually understands the value that we're trying to create for him. And then obviously the benefit is the amount of waterfowl that we see in this beautiful environment. And I know that that winter wheat acre is producing ducks and other upland birds, and that's got to be the right thing to do. Several coming right in here, straight out. Looking right at it, barreling right down, about 9 o'clock.
Watch them coming around.
Shoot.
Bree, no, stay.
Man, now that's the difference in mallards and gray ducks. They broke right there, and we put a little pressure on them. And
under the right conditions, ducks can be long-lived. However, in the wild, ducks are prey for many predatory species, and the average duck lives less than 3 years. But it's not uncommon to see individuals in their teens, or even older. The oldest known duck taken by a hunter was a canvasback harvested at the ripe old age of 29. The oldest known goose to be taken by a hunter was a Canada goose of the same age.
Shoot him!
Scott, I don't know what the name of this lake is, but whatever it is, we ought to rename it Swan Lake.
Yep, been plenty of white birds today.
If we'd taken the shots we'd had on those, it would have been a real active afternoon. I think you think the ducks have kind of pulled out of here?
Yeah, I think that things have at least slacked off for this evening.
I have a little maneuver I want to show you.
All right.
No ducks in the sky, and shooting time is almost over. Let's wrap it up.
With the sun falling and the full moon rising, it's time to pick up and head to the 100th Meridian Duck Shack, joining new friends and sharing the rewards of this great sport.
People say, oh, I don't like duck. If they'd had Scott Stevens' duck, they wouldn't say that. And it's very simple. He marinates them, I think Italian dressing, then he puts them on a charcoal grill, and the secret to cooking those ducks is not to overcook them. You want them rare in the middle. You want them a magenta color. Now, serve that up to anybody. I think they're going to like it.
Morning comes quickly after the fine feast at Scott Stevens Duck Shack. As we arrive at our small pothole setup, ice has taken over, providing a challenge.
Ducks just know where they need to go. Nature gives them the instincts to know where to go to adjust to the elements. Well, you know, we hunted another morning on a little pothole. We walked in, we'd seen birds using that area the afternoon before. Guess what? When we got there, ice was about a ½ inch thick. And when I saw that, I thought, you know, we have made a bad choice, because these ducks are going to know. Instinct tells them not to go back there. And you're really bucking the odds when you can't find where the ducks want to go or find a good open hole. And then all of a sudden we looked down the marsh, and here came what must have been the loneliest mallard drake in this part of North Dakota, all by himself, winging along, looking for a home. And lo and behold, he spotted our decoys, and I said, boys, get ready, we're fixing to shoot a duck. Can you see? And we had our duck of the day, a nice mallard drake, but he was one of a kind for that morning.
Will rising temperatures hold to keep the ice away as we head to one of DU's many properties open to public hunting? On our third morning, we head to some prime real estate, the DU Coteau Ranch, nestled within the Missouri Coteau and open to public hunting. With the major push of birds already headed south, hunting has been tough this week. But as eternal optimists, we set up and lay out blinds along a steep bank and place swan decoys for added realism and visibility along this remarkable landscape.
We went out to the Coteau Ranch. Ducks Unlimited owns that ranch, and it's sort of a demonstration project for how you can manage your water resource and your grass resource for maximum production. There were a lot of swans using this particular wetland, and Scott took, I think, 4 or 5 swan decoys out there and put them with the duck decoys. And they really stood out. I mean, ducks could see those swans a lot farther away than they could see the ducks. And they would swing and then be attracted by the swans. And we had some fairly good shooting out there.
Coming in. Get ready. Shoot now.
Stay, Bree. Stay. Stay.
All right, good shooting. I just looked up and he was peeling right in here. No calling, no nothing. I love those white decoys. I think that's, they're so visible. They're seeing them from out across.
Scott Stevens is a combination of a professional biologist and an enthusiastic hardcore duck hunter, and it's very, very much fun to be with him to hunt.
Scott, I know you've done a lot of nesting survey work out here. This country's so vast. How in the world can you get an idea how many nests you have per mile or per acre or however you count them?
Yeah, well, the way we locate the nest, it's a really simple and slick technique. They figured out if you connect between two vehicles a length of about 200 foot of log chain, as you pass over a bird sitting on a nest, they flush up out of there, and the nest is a couple feet behind the chain. So the nest is scraped out in the ground, and the chain rides 6 or 8 inches above the ground, and so doesn't disturb the nest. We just wrapped up 10 years of doing research here in the Coteau, and we have just over 17,000 duck nests in our database. So we're really fortunate that we have that much information. We can learn a lot about the areas that are best for the birds with that amount of data. We're really excited about winter wheat as an ag crop because it provides nesting habitat for the birds when they show up and are ready to nest. If we could basically convert a lot of the acreage that is in spring wheat production to winter wheat production, we would see an improvement in the populations of waterfowl that breed in those areas because they'll be more successful.
The prairie pothole region of the U.S. and Canada is the breeding season destination for a high proportion of the continent's northern pintails, gadwalls, blue-winged teal, northern shovelers, canvasbacks, and redheads. Not all that long ago, more water meant more ducks. And certainly runoff from winter snows and rain into the summer are keys to ensuring habitat for pairs and ultimately for broods of ducklings. Over the last few decades, however, the rate of wetland loss in some parts of the prairies has been exceeded by the loss of perennial grass cover in the uplands. Cover that's essential for hens to nest successfully. That's the reason why DU's conservation programs are focused on 2 primary features of the prairie landscape: protected wetland basins and extensive areas of permanent grass cover. Without these, ducks won't nest successfully, and broods won't survive to add to the fall flight. Ducks Unlimited's goal is to perpetually protect 2 million acres of the best grasslands and wetlands, and we won't stop working towards that ambitious objective.
The end result of all this work is a perpetuation of our waterfowl resource and also the traditions of hunting, the joys that sportsmen get from being outside. We can thank people like Scott, we can thank people like Bill Buckner and Bayer Crop Science for their input. All the partnerships, all the research, all the hard work goes into managing these birds. If we had not had this, and if we don't have this continuing on in the future, I think the outlook for waterfowl would be very bleak.
Hey guys, right in the front, watch out, they're coming. Shoot him. Shoot him, shoot him. All right, boy. There we are.
Woo! Goodness gracious.
As actions begin to warm, will these late season shy birds give us another swing?
Ducks Unlimited, brought to you by Midway USA, just about everything for hunting. And by Auto Vent Shade, lets fresh air in, keeps rain out.
Sell it on the internet.
Waterfowling is a game of perseverance and hopefully triumph. After being dealt a tough hand this week, we're beginning to see our efforts pay off. Situated at DU's Coteau Ranch in North Dakota, I joined Bill Buckner, president of Bayer Crop Science, and DU biologist Scott Stevens. The birds have found our spread more desirable on this final morning along this amazing backdrop.
They're pretty little ducks, aren't they?
They really are.
What is it about a widgeon that people that, you know, they decoy well, they're kind of
Taste good.
just nice. Oh yeah, they eat well. They're just good ducks.
Yeah.
Nice little birds.
Very colorful. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful.
Pretty speculum.
Yeah.
Watch out, ducks coming. Left. Get in, get in, get in, get in. Ready. Shoot them now. Oh yeah. Oh, man. Woo! They are moving now.
Couldn't have picked two better companions to hunt with. Again, I got the technical side from Scott, where we learned a lot about the nesting environment. With Wade, again, I learned a lot about the journalistic ways of outdoor writers, and it's something I've never been exposed to. So I really do appreciate it, and it's just been such a fabulous experience.
Bree, yeah, Bree will turn 5 this year. One of the redheads had sailed out and then crashed, and actually I didn't even see it fall, but was able to pick it up, and it was drifting across the wetland, and was able to get her lined up and sent, and she was able to take that line and go back and pick up the bird. And that's pretty satisfying. You know, you spend a lot of time working with them on handling and those kind of things, and when they make a long retrieve like that, it does make you feel good, like all that effort paid off. And it adds a whole other dimension to the hunt, having the dog, you know, as your partner out there, and it makes it a lot more fun. I find duck hunting a lot more enjoyable now with the dog than I did when I first got started and didn't have a dog.
Good girl.
Hey, look out, guys, coming right. Got 2 ducks swinging this way. Ready? Shoot them now. There we go.
I'm very optimistic that with these partnerships and with all this work, that the birds are going to be there for my son and my grandchildren and their children and grandchildren to enjoy for years to come. And it makes me feel good to be here and to have a hand in helping people understand how important it is to save these birds and to manage this habitat and to carry these traditions forward.